Alright y'all, welcome back to the channel and to some more rifle testing. And I've got another really pretty interesting little combo to try out today as kind of a follow-up to one that we tested last week. And I'm really interested to see if we see any noticeable improvements or not through this setup. So for the setup I've got out here today, it is this rifle. This is a 1907 British Lee Enfield SHTLE no1 star that's been restamped to a triple star. So definitely a pretty early Enfield that has been pretty butchered, to be honest with you here. It's a little bit rough, but it's still got a little bit of life left to it. Now, if you have not seen the first video, I'll leave the card above here. I explain a little bit more and show a little bit more about what this rifle is in that video. But that last test, we tested some 150 grain Herter stuff through it, which is all I could really get my hands on at the time for the video. And while it wasn't anything super amazingly accurate or anything, it was definitely good enough, and I was happy enough after seeing that rifle sit for 60 years at least with the performance we got. So I was back at the store the other day and I happened across some of these. These are more of the Herter's rounds, but these are the 180 grain soft point variants. So same round, just a heavier bullet. So I'm really curious to see what a heavier bullet might do through this gun, and if we might see a little bit better accuracy or if it really just doesn't make a difference. I have a feeling or a suspicion that we're really not going to see anything too different, but it could absolutely prove me wrong. It's surprised me so far, so we'll see. But as for the testing, since that gun has some not so great iron sights and my eyesight does not go very well with those specific sights, we're going to do just like we did in the first video with a 50-yard target. I do have the chronograph as well. Those were calling for 2460 feet per second, so we'll see how close we get. And we will kind of continue the theme here. We'll shoot one 5-shot group at 50 yards since I don't have a lot of this ammo and I would like to do some hunting with it this year. So let's get you guys a view of the target. I'll head back up here to the 50-yard bench and we'll shoot our 5 rounds through the chronograph, and then we'll check our speeds. And I do have my digital calipers to measure our group. So let's go over here and take this old Enfield with these 180 grains this time out to 50 yards and see what it might be able to do. Alright y'all, so let's look at our chronograph numbers real quick here. And this is pretty surprising. When we tested the 150 grain variants, they were, I think, within 40 or 50 feet per second of what the box was claiming. Now remember, the box for these 180s today are claiming 2460, and we did not see that. So that's definitely interesting that we didn't get anywhere close to what the box was claiming for this test. But let's still go through our numbers and see what it actually did give us. So for a high, we had 1981. For a low, it gave us 1888, and for an average, that gave us 1952. So that is just under 500 feet per second slower than what the box was claiming. So that's definitely pretty interesting. So with it being 303, I would have expected them to probably test it through an Enfield or something with a similar barrel length, but who knows with this one, because that is clearly a lot farther off than what I would have guessed. But either way, it is what it is, and let's go check our accuracy and see how it grouped for us. Alright, so now we're looking at our 50-yard target here, and this is the result we got. Now, right off the bat, it definitely looks better than the 150 grains were. Plus, I believe that this lower shot right here was probably me, but I'm going to measure the entire group as well as the top portion of the group, so that way we have both numbers, and you guys can take whichever number you would prefer as the actual group size here. But let's measure them with the digital calipers and see what it actually gave us. Alright, so the entire group size was a 2.55 inch group from that bottom hole there all the way up to that top hole. So right off the bat, that is definitely better than what we saw out of the 150s. But for those of you interested or would rather keep the top part of the group as my main group if that one was actually just me, let's measure that part of the group and see what that number is. Okay, so for that top part of the group, that gave us a 1.53 inch group. So definitely not bad at all right there for over a 100-year-old rifle with iron sights at 50 yards that I can barely see what kind of target I'm aiming at through. That's not bad at all right there. I'll take that any day for what that rifle is, absolutely. That thing's been shot to death, but clearly it's still got something left to it. So either which group you decide to take as the real actual size, that's up to you guys, but I'm definitely happy with what we saw out of these 180s, except for that chronograph number, which was really interesting there, with it being that much lower than what the box was claiming. But either way, I'm definitely pretty happy so far with these 180s. Alright y'all, well, what did you think about that performance that we saw today? It would appear that that old Enfield definitely prefers a little bit heavier stuff, 180 grains, at least so far from what we've tested. And for our total group size there, I'm definitely pretty happy with it. For like a 115-year-old rifle with not so great iron sights that I can barely see the target I'm aiming at 50 yards, I'm definitely pretty happy with that. And for the purpose that I would ever use it for, either just plinking on the range or potential hunting a deer every so often, that is absolutely good enough. But as for those chronograph numbers, that was really interesting though, because we were close on the 150s, but the 180s are almost 500 feet per second slower than what the box is claiming. And that is definitely a huge jump. So what do you guys think about it? Leave your comments and let me know your thoughts about it all. And I'm going to jump back to getting some more testing done and heading out and doing some more hunting for you guys. So stay tuned because we've got plenty more stuff coming. And with that being said, I'll see y'all in the next one.